My name is Rachel, and I am a social media assistant from the acquisition group. And I am here to teach you on how to take notes effectively. In our everyday lives, when we read, when we listen to podcasts, when we watch a YouTube video, or any of that sorts, we are overloaded with information that it is presented to us. And sometimes we don't actually retain what we learn and what we hear in our day-to-day lives. We actually only retain 7 items at a time. And it's pretty hard to remember something that you've actually listened to maybe 30 minutes after you've learned something. So a study has shown in university that when students do take notes, they actually actively recall 34% of the information that they've learned than those who do not take notes. When we take notes, we are actively working out the muscles in our brain and actually strengthening places that help strengthen our memory. We are going through cognitive processes, motor skills, and visual perceptions. And because all those 3 things are happening all at once, our brain works to memorize the things that we are learning. Because our brain are actively working these 3 functions, we are actually going through a process called enabling encoding. And now, enabling encoding is a fancy term for when you learn new information, your brain is trying to connect it to existing knowledge. And so I'll give you a brief example. Let's say you're learning subtraction. Let's say if I give you a question, 2 minus 1, what is the answer to 2 minus 1? And now you're probably thinking, my goodness, what is 2 minus 1? What are these numbers? What is this minus sign? What is this? And so that is your brain trying to connect things into existing knowledge. And now you may think of it as in, maybe I'm going to draw something that I do know. For example, cookies. I'm going to draw down 2 cookies. And so you draw 2 cookies on your paper, and then you're going to erase one because of minus 1. And then on the page, you're left with 1 as the answer. And so your brain takes existing knowledge and applies it to new knowledge. And now you know the answer to 2 minus 1 is 1. That is what elaborative encoding is. Now, we're gonna go through the different types of learning. And as a disclaimer, I understand that people learn differently because our brain works differently. We're all different in the ways that we think and we speak. So I understand that some of us have learning disabilities, some of us get overwhelmed by concepts and informations. So I'm just here to help you categorize maybe different ways that you can actually learn. And if you relate to this, now you know that you are this type of learner. The first type of learning is called visual learner. A visual learner obviously learns by visualizing and by looking at things. I'm a visual learner. I love to learn through YouTube videos and visualizations. A great example of this is, let's say you're learning how to cook a meal and you don't know how to cook an onion. If you see someone like cook an onion or cut an onion, at least now you know you can follow the same steps. That's what visual learners are. Now, the second way of learning is auditory learning. And people who are auditory learners learn by listening to podcasts, by listening to YouTube videos, or by just simply listening in lectures or in meetings. And a way that they can actually effectively retain information is by probably speaking into an audio recorder or a video recorder, anything that works for you. And they speak back the information that they've learned. And then they can listen to it afterwards and actually help retain the information that they've learned. So those are auditory learners. The last learning style is kinesthetic learning. And this learning is personally my favorite. I am not this type of person, but I do wish to be this type of learner. It is a more hands-on approach of learning. To simplify this type of learning, I'll give you an easy example to help you understand. Let's say you don't know how to ride a bike and you want to learn how to ride a bike. And so you're engaging in these types of learning, like watching a video of someone riding a bike or reading on the tips and tricks on how to ride a bike effectively. You can only do so much and hear so much and watch so much and still not know how to ride a bike. So the most effective way to learn how to ride a bike is to actually just sit on the bike and ride. And you learn as you go. And so that is what kinesthetic learners are. So now we're just gonna go into the top 3 tips on how you can effectively note take. And now these are my personal top 3s. Obviously, you can refine them in any ways you want. I just hope you can take away these top 3 tips on how you can effectively note take and to actually help your brain memorize these notes. So the first note-taking method is the Cornal Method. And this is a much more structured way to organize your notes. And this is for those who love organizations. Take it as it is. I will give you the simplified version and you can modify it the way that you want. And so you're gonna have to draw a diagram. The left side is for those keywords. Maybe chapter 1, questions that the lecturer has posed to you. Write down the key points and key areas that you are covering. And then the right side is a much more broader space and a bigger space. And this is for you to actually go into detail of those keynotes or answer the questions of that you wrote down. Or maybe define the key points or define the definition of the word that you wrote on the left side. Anything that goes along with you. The right side is for more detailed, precise notes. And now the third one is the bottom column, and that is for summarization. And so take the keywords and a detailed summary and summarize it in the way that you understand it. And maybe you have some questions that you want to ask and write it in that little box down below. This is actually going to help you retain the memory and retain the things that you've actually learned in maybe what you're reading or what you're hearing. And so that is the simplified version of the Cornal Method. The next method is mind mapping. And mind mapping actually does help your brain connect key points. For example, let's say you are learning about a sales conversation, and there are 5 complex steps that you need to know: opening, questioning, presenting, closing, and preserving. Let's say you start with your opening line, and your customer actually responds back with an objection. Now you're questioning yourself, like, how do I actually respond to this objection? If you draw a mind map, and let's say you draw different points on how you can actually handle this objection, you're able to connect on different ways you can handle no. And so a mind map actually allows your brain to understand how you can open up your sales pitch, how you can respond to objection, and then how you can lead that objection to maybe the next step, which is questioning. Mind mapping is the most effective way to help your brain connect key concepts. And with this sales conversation, let's say you're faced with objection, you're able to connect different ways to handle the situations. It'll help your brain, it'll help you, and it'll help you grow professionally as well. The last method that we will be covering is a more freestyle flow type of note-taking. And now this is for you to restructure, rework however your brain works, however you want it to work. And now, typically with a flow type of note-taking, usually people will just write down keywords of what they hear, maybe what they've watched, what they've read, the key points, and just anywhere around the page, just write or draw something that you can remember. It really is up to you on how you want to structure these notes. And so if drawing helps, then that is draw away. If writing just one words down, it helps, do that for you. You know, flow notes is just a creative way to actually take notes. And now that we've learned the different ways how to take notes, let's learn on how you can actually retain it. The most simplest way to actually retain notes is summarization. And now summarization is the most easiest and effective way to recall the information that you've learned. Now, I'm not here to tell you to summarize things, because now you know you can summarize things. I'm here to actually teach you how to effectively memorize things. And the number one tip that I can give you is called the Feynman technique. The Feynman technique is the most effective technique to actually retain the note that you've taken. And so the Feynman technique is exactly what I am doing right now. I have researched about note-taking and how our brain works, and I am effectively communicating it and teaching it to you. And that is exactly what the Feynman technique is about. If you are able to teach what you have learned, then you know that you've recalled and retained the information that you've learned already. That is the most effective way when, for example, you're learning how to do a sales pitch. And if you're teaching it to someone who doesn't know, and they've actually done it effectively back at you, then you know that you've understood the concept, you memorize what you've understood, and you've taken notes effectively. And you've actually exercised your brain in the most effective way possible. To bring everything all together, I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you enjoy the tips and tricks that I've given you. Obviously, everyone learns differently, and everyone's brains work differently. Take it as it is, and I just hope you're able to grow professionally and for the future as well. If you want to learn more how to take notes effectively, I've linked a whole bunch of resources in the description below. If you want to see more from the acquisition group, please give us a like, comment below, and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you next time.